So I'll get started. Good afternoon. This is BWAL Live, our Fun Friday edition. My name is Mike. I am a sport coordinator here at Seneca College in our athletic and recreation department. And I'm going to be giving you a quick little easy kind of old-fashioned recipe that makes sense for this time of year, and it's homemade chicken soup. So let's get started. I'm going to give you a quick little demonstration as to how to prepare it, some couple different options and alternatives that you can put in it for ingredients. But we're gonna try to keep it really simple and really affordable, right? That's kind of what it's all about, is meal prep and just having a good amount of food for leftovers and stuff like that. So this is a perfect example of a food like that. Okay, so homemade chicken soup. So obviously you're gonna need some chicken. So just a couple chicken breasts or chicken thighs, doesn't really matter. And you can even go no chicken. You can just be purely vegetable, but this is based on a chicken soup. Okay. Next will be carrots. So you can buy just kind of like a bag of large carrots. This one was like $1.75 for like 7 or 8 large carrots. So for this recipe, depending on how many servings you want, or rather the portion size, I'm suggesting 2 to 3 large carrots, and you're slicing those up into kind of like thin slices. Okay, so that's the carrots. Next will be your celery stalk. So again, really cheap. Anywhere from $1.50 to $2 for a full celery stalk. So this is actually half. I've already prepared the soup that I'm going to be showing you, because obviously it takes quite a while to slow cook. I did roughly maybe a third of the celery stalk, and again, depending on how much you want. Okay, but I say go for it, because lots of leftovers, right? So that's your celery stalk. Cut off the tops, the bottoms, thin slices, just like the carrots, and you throw that in there, okay? Next is yellow onion, Spanish onion. You could even do white onion, it really doesn't matter. But for this one, I would avoid red onion. It's more specific to for the sweet onion. Okay, so just I'd recommend maybe 1 large yellow onion, or maybe a couple small ones. And again, you're gonna dice up that onion. Okay, and again, I've done it beforehand, so I'm not gonna do that right now for you. Maybe we could do a lesson on chopping onions, but I'm assuming that that's under control. So the onion's taken care of, and then garlic, because you really want that flavor. Garlic's obviously really good too for digestive. So if you want to take 2 or 3 garlic cloves and dice that up and chop it as small as you can and add that to your soup. Okay, always good for garlic. And then another one that I would recommend doing it's completely optional, is ginger. So a lot of homemade chicken soups, you can add ginger. We actually did a video last week I did for you, was a ginger tea, a homemade ginger tea. So if you have that ginger left over from the tea, then if it's still okay from a week ago, if not, you can pick one up, they're really cheap. And you can kind of peel it carefully and then chop it up really small, or you can use a grater and grate the ginger. Okay, so that's an option, but I would recommend it. It adds a little bit more flavor, and it's good for a digestive system. Okay, so that was the chicken, the carrots, the celery stalk, the yellow onion, the garlic, and the ginger. And also, as an alternative, and again, I do this just to add some more protein and fiber, is usually do like a can of mixed beans, or even chickpeas. It just adds more, I guess, just kind of value to the soup. So it's not just kind of pure liquid kind of soup. And I just find that I get a bunch more fiber and protein. So again, optional for you, but I usually do a full can of like a 6-bean medley. Okay, so that's up to you. And then finally, just if you don't have them, you don't need to. It's not the end of the world, but I do recommend some form of herbs like oregano or thyme or basil or even rosemary. I have kind of a mixture. I call this my Italian seasoning. So anytime I do cooking, I usually just throw this in there for flavor. So I would recommend thyme or even rosemary to add to the soup. Okay. And again, if you have this stocked up on your spice rack, that's beautiful. You'll have it on hand anyway. And then old-fashioned salt and pepper. So just do maybe a teaspoon or 2 in the soup. Okay, now you're probably wondering, well, what's going to be the actual body of this soup? Are you going to be using a chicken broth or a vegetable broth or some other kind of stock for your soup, which is traditionally what you would do? Or are you just going to use water, or what would the main kind of fluid be? So in this case, I do recommend you can actually get away with using just water. I would suggest 4 cups of water, upwards to 6, again, depending on the serving size. But for myself, I did 6. So I'm going to be using a slow cooker, which I'll get into in a second. And it can fill it up pretty high. So that's at least 6 cups of water. And just the reason for this is because typically the stock, like the chicken stock or broth, is really high in sodium. Even the low sodium version of the broth is really high. It's like 900 milligrams per cup, so it's really high. So the only way to really avoid that is to just do water, and it's more than fine. So if you have enough flavor from your herbs, your seasonings, your vegetables, you shouldn't really need the broth, so you can get away with it. Okay? All right, so as I was saying, once you have either your pot, stovetop, or your slow cooker, so I am actually using a slow cooker. I do recommend investing in one. It's maybe about 40 or 50 bucks. You can get a small crock pot slow cooker. We've had it for years and we do a lot of our cooking in it, and traditionally for slow cooking you have a ton of leftovers, which is amazing, and it's cost efficient because then you obviously have lunch the next day or two, especially with soup or stews or chilies or things like that, where you can have lots left over. So that's kind of the idea here. So slow cooker is what I'm using when I'm explaining this, but you can also just do a regular old pot on the stovetop, and that would work fine too. The only difference really would be how you're preparing the chicken. So I'm doing a slow cooker, which is usually around 4 to 6 hours on a low temperature, slow cooking. So the chicken, I didn't have to pre-cook. I didn't have to fry it or cook it or bake it or anything. I pretty much just threw it right in the slow cooker with all the other ingredients, the water, the herbs, the carrots, the celery, all the other vegetables. And 4 to 6 hours, the chicken's actually fully cooked and ready to go. If you're just doing it stovetop, basically what you're going to do is bring a pot of water, so let's say 4 cups of water to boil. You're going to add your chicken, your vegetables, your herbs, your seasonings, and you're going to boil that for about 10 minutes, and then you're going to reduce the heat to like a medium heat and let that simmer for another 20 to 30 minutes. Cover it as well as it's simmering, and then it should be good to go, and you're going to actually pre-cook the chicken beforehand, however you'd like, in the oven or a stovetop, and then add the chicken to the ingredients on the stovetop, okay? Because obviously 20 minutes of low simmering isn't enough really quite to cook the chicken fully. So that's pretty much it. Mine's actually still going. I'm going to be having this for dinner tonight, so it's not really quite ready, but I'm just going to kind of give you a quick little sneak preview. Nothing really exciting here. It's literally just soup. I'm sure you've seen it before, but just to kind of show you what it's going to look like, it's just basically you've got your chicken and your carrots and your celery, and everything is in there. So it's all seasoned. You can smell all the herbs and everything. So it's definitely going to be delicious, and it's a good kind of afternoon kind of snack on a weekend, on a cold, rainy kind of November day, or yeah, as we get into the holidays here. So that's why I kind of wanted to do this for you, and you'll have tons of leftovers. So I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in. Try that recipe. We're going to post it on our social media accounts, and you'll see the ingredients and everything once again. So enjoy. Thank you. Be well. Have a nice weekend. We'll see you guys next week. All right.